From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trzeciak on Monday, March the 13th, the year 2023. So sit back and enjoy Paranormal Radio. And now, here is the super king of Paranormal Radio, Mr. Bob Trzeciak.
Thank you, John. Every month we do the show, I'm something different. But I'm getting back up there again. For a while, I wasn't even king. You were calling me something else. And don't forget, I have co-king now, too. I have co-king Mr. Leland Pierson. We have a co-king. So there's the king, and then we have the co-king.
Thanks for not making me the queen.
No, you can't be the queen. No.
I'll take the queen.
That would be an entirely different show, and that would be entirely something else. You can't be the queen. We got a full boat today. I'm really I didn't know exactly who was all going to show up. I always invite everybody, but you're never really certain who's going to show up. And then we had a couple of folks that just kind of spur of the moment, which I'm very happy about, came on. Tonight we have Mr. Sal Deltoro. Sal, welcome to Paranormal Radio.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Great. Yeah, just met Sal over the weekend. Last weekend, actually, met Sal. Didn't do anything, just had pizza, but we sat and talked and everything and invited him on. Happens to me all the time. I meet people and invite them on the radio. Good way to meet new friends. Dean Kebschuul.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, Dean. Nice to have you with us. Dean's another one of those. Having pizza with Dean. Same night. Invite him. Tom Petrizzo.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you. Glad you could make it. And come on. Mr. Jake Petrizzo.
Nice to be on again.
Petrizzo.
There it is.
I keep calling Petrizzo. It's Petrizzo. Yeah. And
It's a tricky
this
last name.
character over here sitting next to me, he looks very familiar. I just can't quite place him. Oh, wait a minute. I know what that is. That's Gary Wright. I've known you like all my life.
All my life.
Yeah, Gary, you gotta talk into the mic.
All my life.
Yeah, I've known him forever. You still do Jimmy Carter, right?
I do. You just do a goofy smile and
Yeah.
kind of look like you're half high.
When Gary was a baby, his mom, we used to be, well, I was neighbors with his grandmother. Grandmother lived right across the street from me forever, and we go back forever. Our grandparents knew each other and everything, so our families go back forever. And Gary's grandma would bring him over, and I used to raise chickens, and he used to like to come and look at the chickens, and then she'd say, do Jimmy Carter, and he would do this crazy grin. He looked just like Jimmy Carter. So, and I asked him, I says, he still does it. Gary now resides in Florida, but he made the trip up here to cold country and left the beautiful weather in Florida. And also, he brought his two daughters with, too. And I haven't seen the girls in 110 years. Last time I seen them, they were little. Maddie's going to join us on the radio, and then Emily's also here, too. But Emily's going to sit on the sidelines there and just do what they normally do and look at the phone and message and whatever. I don't know what all they do. I don't have one of those, so whatever they do.
She's trading stocks and who knows what. Over.
You're
Making
trading, you're right.
millionaires.
Yeah, you're trading, you're right, yeah. Gary sells real estate. You still selling real estate?
I still sell real estate, but mostly I'm into flipping houses.
Oh, flipping, okay.
Because I had heart issues, and my doctor told me it's not a good idea to go in and out of people's houses during COVID, so I switched over to flips, and now I'm kind of in the middle of both because there's no deals to be had on flips.
Another couple I know does the same thing. They flip houses. Dykstra's, Rich and Holly. How could I forget the name? Rich and Holly Dykstra's. Super nice people, live out in New Lenox, and they kind of do flipping houses as well as other things too. Super nice folks. Great folks that do that. Gosh, I don't know where to start. Let's see. What are we going to talk about? Let's see. Paranormal. Let me start with Tom.
Okay.
Hi, Tom. Give me your card here. Ileana, Suburban Ghost Society.
Yeah, Ileana Suburban Ghost Society.
That's you.
Yep, that's
Okay,
me.
what do you do?
I am the lead investigator for that team.
You are the lead investigator for the team. Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So you go out, you find these places to investigate, you check them out, you find things. Any good evidence you got?
Oh, yeah.
Any good evidence besides the usual EVPs, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, ting, walla, walla, wing, wing?
No.
No.
No, and that's probably typical what
Yeah.
you probably hear, right?
Well, 99% of them. Once in a while you come across with something a little good.
I've collected probably about 500-600 Class A EVPs.
Good, okay.
What's a Class A?
Clear as day, and everybody sitting here would know what the person's saying.
Oh, cool.
I was going to say Class A is the class before B.
Yeah, there you go.
That is very true.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of discrepancies with EVPs. I mean, if I can introduce one to everybody here, and we all could hear something different.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why
That's
they
why.
have a.
That's why I don't like to take the. Maybe I know I kind of miff a lot of people when I say that, but I don't really take all the EVPs all that seriously because they're just
that's the good stuff.
Yeah, because they're just a little too easy to.
Well, it's
mistake.
It's the most common thing that you catch.
Yeah.
If you're researching or investigating
Mhm.
for them.
Yeah.
So, like on an 8-hour investigation, I'll run three audio recorders, one on my person and 2 in other locations, and I listen to every minute of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's kind of tedious. People, I always like to point this example out to people too, because they watch the shows on TV, and you see all this in an hour, but they don't realize what goes into this. It's hours and hours and hours of looking at these things and listening to these things and hoping you come up with something.
It's hours and hours merged into like 20 minutes of a video.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to communicate those things to people because they're not there.
Yeah.
So if I know that you and I are in a room and we're investigating, and I hear a woman's voice, if I play it for you, you're going to be like, oh my God, I was there. There was no woman in the room.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the case. It's always nice when you hear it live too. Is it live or is it Memorex? It's always nice to hear it live, and it's always nice to have other people back you up that you're hearing it too. Recordings can always be, I'm not saying this is the case, but recordings can always be doctored too. They can always be. So it's always nice when something live, and when there's somebody else there that can back you up and say, yep, there was nothing there, we taped this, and now we have something on it. We may have something here out of the norm. Jake.
How you doing?
You go on vacations with Uncle Tom here? Uncle Thomas? Jake is Tom's nephew.
I went on 2 investigations. I went to Edinburgh Manor in Scotch Grove, Iowa, and I went to...
I thought he was going to say Edinburgh.
Ashmore, right?
I thought he was going to say Edinburgh
Ashmore.
Manor in Scotland. I was going to say, boy, you're good. You go to the Welsh castles and investigate in Scotland and stuff.
Yeah,
Can I come?
Yeah.
Ashmore was the night of my birthday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's
They
one that's
had
like
a birthday party with balloons and cake and everything.
that's down south, right? Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
Party with the spirits.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did they
Now-
get food?
Now, the connection that we have here with Jake, Sal, and Dean is they all work together, and they all work in the fall season for Kildare Haunted City. Over in Bridgeview, they do one of the haunted houses. Now, when we say haunted house, it's not, they claim they have some activity there, but it's more the haunted house that you go to for entertainment, around the Halloween season. These are great. There's like a million of these now all over the place, and, you dress up and you go in and they put on a good show and they scare you to death, and that's what they do. But in addition to that, they do some other things too. They've had some other experiences that we were talking about that the other night when we were having dinner together. So we were talking about that. Dean, you've come across anything unusual or out of the norm for you?
Well, like, I've gotten touched, the basic stuff. There was one time where we thought we heard something in another room. No one was in there. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's just the regular basic
The
kind
normal,
of stuff.
paranormal, everybody
Yeah.
kind of experiences. So nothing really.
Nothing too
You
crazy or
never
anything.
been knocked down a staircase or anything. You're still all in one piece and all that kind of wonderful stuff. Sal, what about you?
Well, I used to live in a haunted house, and we used to have
I
a lot
know,
of
Sal. I
activity
was
there.
talking to him. That's why.
We used to have a lot of activity there, more like a demonic activity,
Uh-huh.
because things were flying around the room. Like, you just, like, whenever, like, how should I say, there's a heated moment where, like, your parents are arguing and stuff, you just see something flinging around the room, and in a room that they're not even in. They'll just hear a noise, they're like, what
That's
was
why
that?
they're arguing. That's
Yeah.
why things are not in harmony in the house.
Yeah.
Because there's something going on there. It's nothing to do with the people. Sometimes the people are fine. It's just they're being, I don't want to say possessed, maybe for lack of a better word. But whatever's in there, that's disturbance. And that's what's causing the discordance and disharmony within the family.
Mm-hmm.
Happens a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit poltergeisty.
Yeah,
Pretty much,
poltergeisty.
yeah, pretty much was.
Poltergeisties are
But,
more
um,
mischievous ghosts. They let you know they're there.
But,
They like to open the cabinets and knock the dishes out and move things around and that kind of stuff like that. They're not really harmful, as far as I know. They're just more mischievous. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
no, after we moved out of that house, like, we thought the activity would stop, because the new owners of that house, they don't sense any activity there. Apparently, that activity followed us.
Yeah.
In some cases, that's true. In some cases, that's some cases, different reasons you have hauntings. Sometimes it's not the actual building, sometimes it's the people, sometimes it's the objects. That's why many people with antiques and mirrors and all this kind of stuff, everybody has different theories about it. And sometimes it's not the house itself, but it's the land that the house is on. We kind of touched on that just a little bit before we started the show tonight. In some cases, there was a house there. The house is gone. Then they built a new house, and they think, oh, that's the end of it. No, it's not. It's still right there in that atmosphere. It's still hanging on there in that. And did I say it right, Maddie? I thought you were going to agree with me. Yes, that was right.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, the last house that we had over in Oak Forest, that was nothing but a farm when the subdivision was built in the 70s. And Madeline's my daughter, by the way.
Yes, hello.
She actually saw our house was built on that corner, apparently was the farmhouse for the farm. And when we moved in, we were the second owners. The first owners, when we talked to them, the wife basically said, there's two guys that live in the one end room. I hear them every now and then. They talk, and I kind of bought into it, but I kind of didn't, because we came from a condo that had some activity going on. But in any case, I never thought Madeline did. And then one day she said, yeah, I saw two guys in my room, and like...
No, it was in your room.
Oh, in my room? Okay.
Yeah, and I think I even saw them in mine, too, a couple times.
And Emily told me, years later, yeah, I used to see them.
Now, that house that you had, I was at your house a couple of times. It's a relatively new home.
Built in 78.
Oh, it's older than I thought. I thought it was newer than that. Okay. Yeah, it's not, 78 is not an ancient house, but I thought it was newer, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was like built in 62.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so see, sometimes it doesn't have to be a real old. Of course, the older it is, that helps because you got more history there and more things have happened, more things that go bump in the dark, have happened there. But yeah, it happens sometimes too at relatively new places too, yeah. So that happens, yeah. Sometimes it doesn't happen in a place at all. Sometimes you're just walking in something, cemeteries, wherever you may be, just out on the sidewalk, something, there's all these walking souls out there now and all these things out there that are entering into us, so you just don't know what you're encountering nowadays, too. And sometimes it's the right person. Sometimes it's the right person. Just, you could have this. Like, maybe you've had this happen with investigations where it'll be like 3 or 4 of you maybe investigating, maybe 1 or 2 people are picking up on something, the other people are going, nothing. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything, I'm not feeling anything.
I just had a recent case, and it was around a 14-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to kind of tread lightly with that one.
Yeah.
You don't want to freak her out. You know what I mean? You don't want her to. You don't want it to affect her mentally.
Now I'm guessing the case was a private home.
Yeah, absolutely.
The girl lived there, and so you didn't want to,
I mean, anytime you investigate the paranormal, it could mess with your head, your brain. It could, the way you think, the way you approach it. It could take you off in all kinds of different directions.
Well,
so when you're inviting somebody in to investigate it,
you've got to, I don't want to say you've got to be in a mindset. Well, maybe you do have to be in a mindset. You've got to be, when you do the paranormal, you've got to be in the mindset that, yes, you're open to it, but yet you're not letting this get to you or it
Absolutely.
Get to you. There's times where I kind of walk away from it. I've walked away from a lot of things. Yeah, I've walked away from a lot of stuff like that. And I'm writing up a thing on vampires. And some of these, there are some people, too, that I like to call vampires. They're not vampires that they suck your blood, but they suck your energy. Some people you're around, they play mind games with you, and they suck your energy out of your mind, out of your body. We've all known somebody like this. You're around this person, and you leave, and you feel very fatigued.
Dealt with it the last 6 months.
Yeah, and you just walk away, and you're like, I don't want to be around them anymore. But then somehow you're drawn back to them. Somehow you're drawn back to them, either out of you just feel sorry for them, sympathy, or it's a curiosity. What are they going to do now? What are they going to say next? Or you just don't know why, but for some reason you're finding yourself drawn back to these people, and then the same thing happens over and over. And in some cases, you better just stay away from that kind of person and those kind of places. When you go to a place like that and you feel yourself very drained and your energy's gone and something's not right there, get the evidence you need or whatever, but then maybe get the heck out of there, and that's enough of that. And go somewhere else. Am I right, Leland?
Yeah, talking to the guy that never seen anything, sure.
Never seen anything, but nonetheless believes in paranormal.
You've been looking?
Always. That's like my whole shtick is. I'm like the most. I don't know how you'd say it, Bob. I'm very skeptical, very practical thinker, but I'm also grew up in a haunted house that I never saw anything, but everybody else did. But I go and interview folks outside of here that do the paranormal and still haven't seen anything. Trying to get some folks to take me ghost hunting.
Well, but I know. You got a team sitting right here.
I know.
Let's do
it.
Card. Go ahead, Tom. Give him one of your cards. You got another one there?
Yeah.
There you go. And also, he's Joliet, and that's like your territory, too. You like out that way.
Yeah, I grew up south of Joliet and Dwight.
I'm telling you, see, I connect. This is how you do this. You connect with people. See, this is how it works. Yeah, yeah. But, a lot of times you don't see, but you believe, it's that way with a lot of things. It's that way with religion. How many people do you know that have seen God, but yet they believe in Him. So, same thing with the paranormal. You may not have seen it, but it's there. It kind of...
There's something. There's got to be something
there. Of course there is, yeah.
Whether it be
I have no doubt.
A spirit or not, but there's got to be something that's doing it, because there's no way everybody over...
It's just not coincidence.
Yeah.
No. Mm-hmm. No. And when you do see something, which you will, eventually you will. Yeah, you will.
Unfortunately, everything is in theory.
Mm.
But I will say this, and I talked to these guys about it earlier. Keep doing it, because something will happen. You will experience something. My most famous was face-to-face with a full-body apparition.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that I always hoped would happen. But when it happens, it's life-changing. You think about everything that I knew about the paranormal changed.
It just goes out the window.
Because I knew it as a fact
Yeah.
then. Personally, I can't show you this, and it's risky talking about it because you think I'm nuts.
No, not at all.
Some might think that.
Yeah,
but the people that know what I know don't.
The only people that
if
probably
you're
think
nuts,
you're
everybody
crazy.
else sitting at this table is nuts. So
Yeah, the only people that probably think you're crazy is those who haven't experienced it or don't believe it at all.
Absolutely.
But people that I like to, and I say this over and over and over and over sometimes, and it almost becomes like a big cliche with Bob, because I end up being so redundant and repeating myself. But people that I like to believe as good witnesses to the paranormal are just like that. People that have nothing to lose or gain, and they're telling me their story. Yes, this is what I saw, this is what I felt, this is what I experienced, and they're telling it. I'm not paying them, they're not doing anything special, no monetary gain from this, nothing. They're not benefiting from this at all, but they're telling me their story. And it's like, well, you think I'm nuts? No, I don't think you're nuts. You're telling me something that happened to you, and for some reason you feel confident in telling it to me, and I appreciate that people do. And those are people I tend to take very seriously. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to add is, I do have a video that I did immediately after coming home from that situation. And I documented it the best I could. It's a YouTube video. You can go to Suburban Ghost Society on YouTube. And it's the apparition at Randolph, what are they calling it now? Infirmary. But you'll see my reaction, and I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that's going to be frightened by, a noise, or, I'm not going to jump or howl or cry or scream or whatever. But I do in that video.
Sure, because that element of surprise, something caught you off guard.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, when you're there on an investigation, you kind of maybe sort of are expecting something to happen. It may or may not happen. Now, when you're not doing an investigation and something happens, that's the surprise.
Yeah.
That's the big surprise. And I've had a few of those. I've had the big surprise.
But if you check out the video, you will absolutely see my reaction. And you'll hear me talk about where the cameras that I had CCTV cameras, 8 of them, all out of the shot.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2
Oh, so then you
IR
didn't
cameras.
you didn't really catch it on film then?
No.
Darn it.
I think it's just his reaction, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, risky to talk about, but
yeah.
I like to share as much as I can with the community, the paranormal community.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to know it, especially if you're going to go to Randolph.
Yeah.
So you can maybe attempt what I did.
Now, Randolph Infirmary, is this I shouldn't say this because they're all doing it now, but do they lease it out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're all doing this now. They all lease it. Yeah, I know.
It just seems like such a racket.
It is. I know.
In one sense, I get it. Property taxes, upkeep, ripping asbestos out, maintaining history. The other just sounds really suspicious.
Yeah,
but also, it's not like they're charging $1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a couple $100, give or take.
Some of them have gone so far to actually say, we can guarantee you that if you investigate here, we can guarantee you're going to get results.
I guess that's where I got to go.
And to that, I have to say I've been to mostly all of them, all the way down to Villisca, Iowa, the Axe Murder House. I've been to Edinburgh. I've been to all the ones most of the ones you've seen on TV. And the reason I went to them all is because I experienced something at them all.
Yeah.
So how do you know you would?
But what I'm saying is I wouldn't bother it being a scam, because anybody could run audio devices in there, right?
Sure.
And my recorder picks it up, and I think it's an EVP, blah, 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 right? But I've been to them all, and I experienced something.
Anybody else got anything? Maddie, you had something to say about that.
No, she was asking.
Oh, you just... You said,
my biggest concern with the pay-to-play type of places is they're doing it for a business. They're guaranteeing that you're going to see something.
Not necessarily.
Or many do.
yeah. Not in all cases, but a lot of them.
No guarantees.
Yeah.
There's the keys. Give me your money. See you later. See you in the morning.
Right, but you do have the guys who say you'll definitely see something. You know,
Never had heard that said to me.
And but again, they're out there to make a buck. Those are the places that I trust the least.
Absolutely, I understand that.
What's stopping them from hiding speakers? I mean, I know we've all seen.
That's my point.
Yeah, you can.
We've all seen
That happened at
right?
Ashmore. They had their own cameras and everything on the top.
Yeah, I don't go to those.
Which one was that at?
Ashmore Estates. That one was really, really sketchy.
See?
Remember that? They had their own IR cameras and everything?
Paranormal playground is what I call it.
Yeah.
Because they even have like EVP pucks in the ceilings and the whole 9 yards. So
it's like
I won't go
it's
back.
sort of like a paranormal Disneyland type thing. That's what they're doing.
That's exactly what I refer
It's an
to
amusement
it.
park. Yeah.
And they always
Okay.
push the, we're
We did have one experience there, which was a bat flying around.
Okay.
Almost hit him in the face.
Oh, that was me.
Yeah, flew right in front of me. I got it on.
What day was
on my
that?
YouTube channel.
Like a real bat?
What day was
Real
that?
bat.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you remember the date that was?
I felt
Somebody-
the risk, and I was like,
So you
what
meant
the
like a
heck was
rubber
that?
bat in the
You
street?
said what date?
Do you remember what day you were there or what day that was?
Which one?
The one he's talking about where the bat was
Ashmore
flying?
Estates. I think it was
Well,
September.
probably on my birthday.
On your birthday. It was in 2017.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
me. I flew through that. It was me flying in.
No,
I just had to ask
Saw
the
those
date. I
vampires
wanted to
been
be sure.
talking to.
but to your point, there's many places that I have paid to play,
Yeah.
and I've done the research on the house. I knew all the players, everybody who lived in that building since it was built. I knew the guy who built it. Everybody who died in there or lived in there, and have evidence of communicating with some of those players.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate. If you can look it up and find all those people, and I'm not trying to. I was doing the same thing you're doing 20 years ago is when I started. So I've been
Intelligent responses, though.
Yeah, but what's to say? Even 20 years ago,
Not random.
I had a microphone. I had speakers. I could go in the same place. I did the same research you did. I know the same place. I know
I
the same
totally
people.
get it.
I know everything that they said. What's stopping me from sitting in a basement in a room that you haven't found, listening to you?
No.
Oh, what am I doing?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
here's
not gonna
wrong.
happen.
It's
That also
almost- but
sounds
you
like
know
a
when
lot
you-
of. I will say that
Yeah.
maybe on
No,
Tom's
you-
end, that sounds like a lot of work to
A bother.
make
Yeah, I don't know
$500
if I
bucks.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I'd bother
Yeah,
that
plus
much.
EMF
You're
is going to
doing it
pick up
every
anything
weekend.
Yeah,
wireless.
$200.
Oh, there's money to be made.
I'm
no
going to pick
doubt.
it up.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
find,
Oh, yeah.
if there's something there, I'm going to probably find it with my EMF.
And I guarantee you, every one of us has watched Ghost Hunters and all those
Oh,
shows.
yeah,
and
yeah.
they always find people that are doing that.
Yeah.
There's stuff. I remember the last Ghost Hunters I watched was 10, 15 years ago. They went into a bar and they had little motors on the lights to move
Yeah.
the lights.
Yeah.
People do it because that brings them into the. For them, it was bringing them into the bar to drink.
I've
really.
actually been
Yeah.
contacted by somebody. I actually got contacted by somebody and asked me if I could haunt their establishment for them. And I said, "How do you mean?" And they said, "Well, can you haunt our establishment?
When
Can
you pass, can you
create
come
some-
here?"
Can you? No, not that. Can you create some stories and do this and hold some things here and that so people because it's good business. When you have something haunted, it's good. And I says, no, that's not how I do things. And I won't say who the establishment is. They're still there. They're not a was. They're still around.
I
But
mean,
I wouldn't
it's
do
not
that.
just audio devices, hearing voices or picking up EVPs. It's also working with anything from a Jacob's ladder to a REM pod to
Sure.
any of the EMF detectors. I mean, explain
Have
that.
you done work with any good medium? Have you ever brought a good medium
I've worked
investigation?
with two.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay.
and not really impressed with that situation, but
Thank you.
Okay.
I've dealt with some sensitives too
Okay.
that claim to be sensitive, but
This might be for Gary and Tom.
Well, now we're on the Tom and I are on the exact same page.
So, well, you both said you've been doing it a while. I work.
did I do that gentle enough?
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't have to be gentle with me. I'm
Gary could take it. Looks like.
Bob knows. I think he got a little perturbed with me 10 years ago when I was on the show, and I kind of went off a
No.
bit.
But since you all have been doing it a little bit longer, so outside my day job, I work in audio for a living and visual and stuff, blah blah blah, but not with ghosts and stuff. But anyway, analog versus digital for not EMS for EVPs. So I remember back in the day when I was in like high school, digital recorders were coming up, but the older guys were like, the tape recorders, the analog ones, are the reasons you want to do it because it's doing the magnetic field and it's blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That's what's catching it. Now that everybody's moved to digital, well, digital, there's no motors, there's nothing like that even causing any energy to besides the battery power. Have you seen anything from the two of y'all doing it, a difference?
Well, I'll tell you now. I use digital, and mainly for convenience.
Right. We're going to buy a tape nowadays.
I use Studio One software.
Mhm.
It's for recording musical instruments and so on. And no, Bob, I do not alter anything.
Oh no, I didn't. No.
Just puts a nice guitar
no,
track
no,
on
no.
top of it.
But
Nobody's gunning for you. Here.
But
No.
but the main thing is the convenience behind it. So I could throw a file that I recorded of 3 hours into the software, and I can listen to it. And when I hear something, I can stop it and I can loop it to really know what I'm hearing, and then I can capture that loop, save it to a file. So again, I don't have the experience with the magnetic
With
tape,
the tape, yeah.
deal. I'm just telling you for
Yeah.
convenience, time.
Yeah, digital is
Digital
definitely
works
like
better
the
for me.
most convenient thing to do. I was just curious if people
Well,
getting more
I've
hits
got-
on.
Well, okay, I'll have to give you my super quick background. Basically, when I was a kid, my dad was a dentist. Super science people usually kind of roll their eyes at ghosts. He loved ghosts. We used to go all over the place checking
Cool.
stuff out. We planned a 2-week trip driving around the country, just going to all the big spots. And I was little enough where he'd tell me, okay, we want to go into the parts you're not supposed to go into, so you run, and I'm going to follow you, and when we get caught, I'll just say, my kid ran away. That was great. It
Good
worked.
plan, right?
We were
Who's
all
going to yell
over
at a
the-
little kid?
Yeah, we were all over the Queen Mary. We kept getting booted because you can't go underneath. That's a hotel now, and you can't go down. So we kept getting booted, and we got down. The only place that it didn't work was Alcatraz. And when we got caught, the guy basically said, I don't care what your kid did. I catch you again, you're going to prison. So you don't screw around. at
You're
the
already in
national parks.
prison when you're in Alcatraz. Yeah.
You've been to some cool
Alcatraz is-
places, though.
The Alcatraz Island is the most popular tour in San Francisco.
They,
went there. Yeah, I went there.
side
Yeah.
note, they are shutting it down in the next few years.
Oh, really?
It's becoming unsafe because
Yeah.
it's collapsing. So if
Oh.
you want to go, I think
Well,
it's the
they'll
next
still
5 years.
boat you around it through
Oh,
the
yeah.
day, and then
That's
you'll
a-
boat around it. And
But you want to
go
go
in.
inside and see where
Yeah,
Capone
yeah,
was
yeah.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
That's
right,
the most
right.
popular
That's
tour
a
in
risk
San
I'm
Francisco.
willing to take.
Remember when I went
Alcatraz.
there? Are you going to Alcatraz? I'm like, yeah. You know, it's the most popular tour in San Francisco. Yeah.
So anyway, after that, I went to Quincy University in beautiful Quincy, Illinois. And the dorm that we were in, we had some weird stuff happening on the 4th floor of our dorm that was closed. And that's when I actually started to learn how to do research on this stuff, because there were 1,000 stories. Kid's girlfriend dumped him, he jumped out the window. Kid hung himself in the shower. His parents died, he didn't know what to do. I mean, so we started getting into it and actually started figuring out, hey, you know, we can go to libraries, we can go look at newspapers, you know. I mean, we were still just kids. But that's really when I got into it. Then I moved into a haunted condo, and then that was when I started Graves, which was the Ghost Research and Visitant Energies Society. We just came up with that because we were nuts. And we did that, and we started doing regular investigations. So at that point, it was 2002, and we were tapes and digital. We were doing both. And pretty much the way that we started it, so my buddy Dave, who started it, hi Dave, he's dying to hear this. So Dave's big thing was, Dave is a super science guy. To this day, he is an internationally known scientist. Back then, is just kind of a douchebag like me. And so anyway, but, he started looking into the magnetic stuff and the tapes and all this. And what he came up with, just from our investigations and because we would use both, those were our experiments for us, not for putting out in the world. And there really wasn't much difference. If one caught it, the other one usually caught it too. And I can't remember the guy's name. I met him out in Harson's Island, Michigan, and he was doing some of the similar stuff. But he was some kind of an engineer, like electric engineer or whatever. And his theory on it, which I think is kind of proved what Dave figured out, is all the magic happens in the microphone. The conversion that happens where it's catching your voice here. So I don't think it matters that the tape is magnetic or that you're recording it on digital. What you need is a good mic.
It's a copper coil inside.
Okay,
I think that's really what it is. That's what we always thought.
Okay, now see, you guys are doing this all with the equipment and everything, and that. Now you get somebody like Sal here. Sal just lived in a house that was haunted. He didn't need any equipment or anything. Stuff was just there. Stuff was just going on, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was always going on.
Yeah.
You don't even need the equipment. It just happens right there, right before
And
your
now
eyes.
you no longer live in that house.
No.
You no longer live there. But do you still stay in tune with the paranormal? If you go somewhere else, do you still pick up on things and stuff still comes to you? And
I mean, wherever I go, if something's paranormal, I'm going to catch it right away.
see, it's just some people. It's just that way. Yeah. Some people are just more in tune with it. Yeah. You could, somebody else could be standing there and you tell them this and they say, you're crazy. There's nothing
Well,
there,
let's go, Sal. Where are we going?
Yeah.
Well, I have a good few places. We could go check out Exit Saloon, where I work at, or we could go check out the exit on the north side, because there's always been reportings of activity happening there when it used to be open. By the way, we're opening back up in a couple months.
The exit? The bar?
Yeah, on the north side.
That's weird. I was just talking about it. It's an old punk club.
Yeah. And then there's...
there's exit 1 and exit 2. Huh? There's 2 of them?
Yeah, exit on the north side, that's the OG.
So the exit 1 or exit 2 is still open.
The exit 1 is opening back up. The exit 2, that's the one I'm working at right now.
Where's that one located? Where's it at?
Which one?
The one that's open now.
Both of them. We want to go.
Yeah.
Let's get everybody there. Come on.
I'll
Let's get this man some money.
Oh, yeah. Exit Saloon, it's on 63rd in Harlem.
I lived on 63rd and Harlem. You
What
lived
is that, behind your house?
Yeah,
What's that, the
where's
prime
that at?
contender?
Right behind my house.
63rd in Harlem, right at the light. It's right there on the corner. You can't miss it.
Scorpies?
There's no, that's gone.
Huh?
What are you
There's no
talking
saloon
about?
there.
It's Exit Saloon now.
It's not there. It's gone.
Prime and tender?
Go over there. I guarantee you'll find it.
63rd and Harlem.
63rd in
I
Harlem.
lived there all my life.
60
Right across the street from 63rd. There used to be a Subway there. There's a little plaza there. That's a temporary work agency place there. There's a Lolly's, like one of those gambling places there now. The Subway that I used to work at for 10 years is not Subway now, but some other restaurant went into that. There used to be Prime and Tender, which many years ago used to be Terry's Restaurant. That's all torn down.
Studio 63.
And then across the street on 63rd and Harlem, on the Chicago side, used to be a bar there that was there for years. It was called Scorpies.
And the in-betweener.
In the in-between, it was a gay bar, which I did not know about. I lived there all my life, and then I found out, no, where's this at on 63rd and Harlem?
63rd in Harlem, right at the intersection. You know where the Shell gas station is at?
Exactly. I lived right behind that gas station.
Okay, right across the street from the gas station. It's right there. It's impossible to miss it.
I just drove by there today coming here, and I didn't see this.
I lived there for 40 years.
I lived there 58 years. 58 years I lived there, and I don't know where this is.
Drive back there. Drive back over there, and
Now,
you'll
there's
see
a
it.
little place right across the street, small little, it used to be like a used car place. It's too tiny to be a bar or anything. Years ago when I was a kid, it was a little ice cream shop, but it's very tiny.
Is this on the side with the tracks?
It's across from the tracks. Right across. Okay, tracks.
Cigarettes.
The condos are there, the Lishmore condos are there.
I believe so.
Okay. And there's the railroad track, so it's on the Chicago side.
This is a very South Side argument going
It's
on
on
right
Summit.
now.
It's in Summit?
It's in Summit.
I got to look for this when I go home tonight. I can't imagine
Go
where
drive
this place
by.
is. I'm going to go stop
Is it-
in there tonight.
Is it anywhere near the burrito place in
No,
Summit?
that's
the
over,
other end.
That's on Archer. That's on the other end. of
Go
town.
stop by. We're open right now. We're open till 2.
I'm going in there tonight. When I go right past
You'll
it.
see the big sign.
Oh, this used to be. I know what this is now. Now I know. This used to be a Lithuanian restaurant.
Yes.
I know where it is
Oh,
now.
okay. Duke's?
Now I know. Yeah, it used to be
Duke's,
Duke's.
okay.
Now I know. Yep.
All right, now we
Used
know.
to be the Lithuanian restaurant, or is that the place that used to be the Triangle
Sunburn?
Inn? Triangle Inn.
It used to be so many places before it became Exit.
It was a barbecue place before it became
now,
Exit.
Now, the place that used to be J&K's, I had a strange experience there. I used to go there at night, and I would be there a lot of times late at night. When I worked, I used to work always the night shift and that. And so like 10:30, 11 o'clock, I would stop in. I'd park my car at home, walk across the street, I'd go there. And the one lady that used to work the night shift there, Lou, she always told me there's stuff going on in the building and that, because she worked the night shift there, you know. And I never really felt anything until one day. I sat in the booth, and the booth that I sat in was right in front of the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom to go wash my hands. I went in there, and I didn't bother locking the door because I'm just washing my hands, and the door starts pushing open. I thought, why is the door pushing open? They saw me go in here, and I pushed the door closed again, and the door pushed open again. And then finally I just pulled the door open to say, like, what the heck are you doing? Why are you fooling around? And there was the thing standing right in front of me, like a uniformed man, like a blue uniformed man, and he walked. He walked and he went through the counter, and I watched it, and Lou, the lady that was there, she says, do you believe me now? He says, oh, I always did believe you. I just never saw it. But yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if we're talking about the same. I wonder if it's the same building, though. No, I don't think it is. The building you're talking about, Exit Saloon, used to be the Lithuanian restaurant.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of activity there. Nothing bad or like something that'll make someone feel anxious or angry. It's more like when you're sitting at the bar and you look to from the corner of your eye, you look to your left. There's a shadow of a man standing by one of the poles, and when you look, he's no longer there. But it's
okay.
Everyone is always reporting that.
Well, I'm stopping there tonight. On my way home until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Till 2 o'clock in the morning.
I go right by there today on my way home to go to Elsip because I go down Harlem.
Hey, Bob, they have karaoke too, so sing a song or two when you go up there.
I can do that too. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that too. Yeah, I can sing karaoke. Karaoke. See, I can sing karaoke. Who did that? Wasn't that Barney that did that? Sing a cappella. A cappella. Well, that's an old joke, but anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know the place very well. Yeah. Went in there many times, but never knew there was activity in there.
Did it have the wagon on the post?
No, that was the other A&J's.
Okay.
A&J's, yeah. That was the place where they filmed that one Michael J. Fox movie they
Bright
filmed
Lights,
there.
Big City.
Yeah. They filmed it there.
And everybody said he was such a jerk.
And now years ago, way back when I was a kid, before you came on the earth too, Gary, used to be Little Joe's Antique Cars there. They used to have old Model T Fords and old cars and stuff like that, and that used to be our plaything. When we were kids, we'd go there and we'd just jump. When I think about it now, I could have got killed starting the Model T Fords, but we used to start these cars, crank start them and all that. They used to sell them there when I was a kid, yeah. That's amazing. Those cars sat there for how many years, and we'd go crank start them and that, and they would kick right back up and start. But when you think about it, you could have got killed doing it because they would backfire, and the crank would. That's why they stopped making them. They started the self-starting engine because too many people were getting hurt crank starting the cars. But we thought it was fun. We didn't think of breaking your arm or breaking your jaw, getting it with the crank or something.
Man, a lot of things were fun to us as kids. And then when we grew up, we're just like, how did I not die?
Yeah, I know. You think about it now. I think about some of the stuff I did, and I'm like, did I really do that? Now I wouldn't think to do that, But when you're a kid, you see things differently than you do as an adult.
Well,
but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. You work there.
Yeah.
You do work there.
Yeah.
Oh, for gosh sakes. It's a small world, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Going to have to stop. Are you working tonight?
No, that's why I'm here.
Ah, okay.
So to say he's going to be late for his shift.
I was just going to say, well, then I won't say anything. I don't want you to, he's playing hooky from his job to come here or something. Yeah. Oh, for gosh sakes. Okay, well, I'm going to check the Exit Saloon. I guess we just put in a plug for the Exit Saloon, huh?
We just put in a 10-minute plug.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Once we found the location where it's at, I was like, where the heck is this on 63rd and Harlem? There used to be a bar there that was torn down. There was another bar there that was torn down.
To find it on maps, you got to type Exit Saloon in all caps, and it will pop up right there.
I know exactly where it's at because I lived right there for 58 years. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Now that we found the exact location, we pinpointed it. Yep.
West side of the street, just south of 63rd Street on Harlem.
Yep.
Yes.
There you go.
I know exactly where you're at. Yep.
Let's drive them right to the door. Get you some.
That location right there on 63rd and Harlem too, right by the railroad tracks there. A lot of people don't know it, but the one Resurrection Mary, Anna Norcus, that's where her car fell by the train, left a 25-foot drop off there. In 1927, that's where she had her accident, and that's where she was killed.
Oh, so you don't go towards the story that she died in the loop, hitting one of the L poles.
No, that's another one. That's Mary Bergovi. There's two Resurrection Marys.
Oh, okay.
There are two?
Oh, yeah, there's two.
I just thought there were one.
Anna Norcus and Mary Bergovi. I've decided that years ago, just based on what people have told me. Yeah.
And all the stories can be found in our book that should be coming out next year.
Yes, yeah. Gary and I with this book. We go, how
Shameless
many years have you
plug.
spent with this thing? Like, you know, I have to tell you, I got kind of bad vibes about the book because right after we completed it, you had all that heart surgery and everything.
Yeah.
We almost like just finished it, and I saw pictures.
Is it
of
that
his
stressful writing a book with Bob?
Yeah.
He pulled open his chest, and I saw all this and everything, and I thought, oh my God, I almost got kind of freaked. So we never really kind of pursued it, and then other reasons too why it has never really gotten off the ground.
But it's done. I got 3 chapters with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been writing stuff today, but I'm not writing chapters for another book. I'm writing stuff for other things that I'm doing. But yeah, it's kind of funny. You just kind of get a bad vibe about something, and you sort of put it like on the back burner, and you just say, oh, I don't know about this, whatever reason. But, cool. Yeah, go ahead. Help
Do it,
yourself.
man.
Yeah,
Do
that's
it.
right there. I brought some Peeps there. I brought a box of Peeps and some...
Swedish fish.
Take what you want. That's where I bought them. I stopped at Target, and the Swedish fish are my favorite. I like those, too. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. It's a small world. Like they say, it's a small world. Really. And when you connect with people in there, it's amazing the things you find out. Yeah, yeah. Now, where are you heading off tonight after you get to leave here?
Apparently the exit.
If I didn't have the kids, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
It's a family bar.
Oh, yeah.
Here it comes.
So kids are welcome. They ID you, and if you're old enough to drink, you get a wristband, so that way the bartenders know, hey, this person's old enough to drink.
You got
See,
food?
I don't know. Bars and things never were my thing, so I don't know bars and stuff. Like, they tell me this or that, and I don't really know where they're at because I'm not a bar person. I never was, But that I know because I lived right there for 110 years. So, yeah.
Bob, that place, the manager's really nice. He's really cool. What's his name? Al?
Al.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
going to
Al's
go in there
awesome.
today, and Al and I trust you by the time I leave, Al and I are going to be best friends. Yep.
Find out tomorrow that Bob is banned from the exit.
You got thrown out.
There's the exit.
I'll come up to you like, Bob, what did you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just got a sign.
Not only
with
that,
the
they won't let
picture.
Sal back into work either. They're going to say, you get out of here, too.
I'm a good friend of Sal's.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why I come after you for firing.
Isn't that
for
something?
getting me
Yeah,
fired.
yeah.
Yeah, and they just got a sign with Bob's picture, like saying, "Do not let this man in."
Yeah, do not let this person in here. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, how things kind of go full circle with life and that, Now, something with bars, it seems like there are a lot of haunted bars. Haunted bars are like a common thing. I don't know what it is. A lot of that. Now, see, I don't always want to say that. I'm skeptical of it and that. But I think it's good business, too, when the bar has stuff going on in it and that.
Oh,
brings
absolutely.
people
So
in.
I worked in a bar in college. I won't name it
Mhm.
because I like the owner and we're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
friends. But every Halloween, they would do a ghost tour in my college town. They would stop at that bar, and he had this crazy story because it was a speakeasy in the 20s, but then he had a big ghost speakeasy story and that they would ring a bell, blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, I looked at the owner. I'm like, I never knew that. And he's like, no, we just make up the story because they like it. Who cares? I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's a good reason to not name it then. Huh?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if he's
It's
telling a
amazing.
story.
It's amazing, like in the Chicago area, even our area here, how many places all have an Al Capone connection. It's sort of like
Everybody's
George Washington
uncle
slept here.
worked for
yeah,
him.
Yeah. Everything else. I said, boy, Al Capone, if you got to all these places, I don't know, But it's amazing. Yeah.
My best bar investigation was Bobby Mackey's Music Hall.
Okay.
You've probably seen it on Ghost Adventures or
Sure.
whatever, but yeah, that place is
Bob
Pretty active.
Mackey's. Isn't it
Where
the guy
is
that did
that?
all the dresses for
Wilder,
Cher and for Carol Burnett?
Kentucky,
Bob Mackey.
right over the
That's
border.
musician.
I know it's like a
Yeah.
country
Yeah,
bar,
he's a
right?
musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Mackey was the famous designer, too, that did all the Cher's dresses and Carol Burnett show, all her costumes and everything. Bob
Yeah.
Mackey.
I don't know if it's the same Bob Mackey. This guy was
Probably
a
not.
Western singer,
Might
country
not
singer.
be the same Bob Mackey, no. There could be more than one Bob Mackey. Yeah. Cool.
So flipping houses, what's like the weirdest thing you've seen flipping a house or going in as a realtor? I assume,
Ghost-wise,
or weird-wise.
Ghost-wise, nothing. Weird-wise, people do some really goofy stuff. It's usually horrible electric work.
No.
Oh, jeez. That Joyce's house.
Oh, it's
So,
Joyce.
yeah.
The
Oh,
floor.
now she's moving from the house?
No, she's in a nursing home now.
Oh, she's in a nursing home.
And basically, the way it all worked out was to pay off some stuff. The government was going to take her house.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So I bought her house and paid off the government.
That's nice.
So I got her house, got her into a nice retirement home, nursing home
okay,
kind of place.
yeah, good.
And then we flipped the house, and it had just been, she was tight on cash, so the maintenance was things that were absolutely needed, not routine. So there were a lot of things that needed some help, and there were some stuff where she was, of course I can't name the guy, but there was somebody who was bilking her every time, and he was just a handyman who knew a little bit about not much. So, and he'd go over and she'd say, she's 4.5 feet tall, little tiny lady, short. She's like, I need somebody to change the light bulb. He'd come over and say, okay, $75. He'd change the light bulb. He was just screwing her left. I had no idea.
$75?
Yeah, change the light bulb.
And this is a person that really couldn't afford it. That was just kind of getting by just on Social Security, really just kind of getting by,
Yeah.
Yeah, what a shame.
Yeah.
So, but with that,
I've wondered about, because I used to find out what was going on with Joyce when I would talk to not your mother, your grandma. When I talked to her, and whenever I'd stop in Summit, I'd always go and visit Mrs. Wright, Gary's grandma, because we were neighbors all of our lives. So I'd stop and visit, and we'd, chit-chat and everything, and that's how I'd find out things that were going on and that, and everything. And then she passed away. I'm surprised it was that long, 5 years. I thought it was just a couple of years' time. It has a way of flying by on you,
Yep, Valentine's Day, 2018.
Yeah.
I miss her.
Yeah.
I do too.
She was really, really nice. She was a really good person.
Yeah. She was a good person. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So, but yeah, back to the houses before Madeline starts crying.
Shut up.
She misses great grandma. Yeah, a lot of people, they like to jury rig stuff. Like even in that house, I went in the crawl space, and I'm like, all right, let's take a look. It was very clean. I was amazed how clean it was, but then I saw that the dishwasher had been hooked up to a garden hose and dumped into the sump pump.
Yeah.
Ay, caramba.
Oh, which
just
house?
have a way, sort of rigging
I think I've
things
heard
and-
that before.
I saw my one friend, he buys apartments and then he redoes the apartment building and then rents them out.
Mhm.
Well, they decided to take the sub pump and go right into the sewer with it.
Oh.
Literally, from the inside, just had it go up right into the, drilled the hole right into the 8-inch main, 8-inch main,
Yep.
and then they just literally just packed anything they could in there.
That could be a dangerous thing because you could really get a bad enough rain that could actually back up and right into the house and through the sump pump.
Keep up. Yeah.
Sump pump couldn't keep up with it. Yeah, it could happen. Yeah.
I think I gotta tell this story. I think this will be the only time it's relevant to tell this story. So I used to foreclose on. I used to work for a bank, and we would foreclose on homes.
Okay.
Greatest job I've ever had. No, it was the worst job.
Oh,
I did it for 2
horrible.
months and I quit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when a house goes into foreclosure, first off, the bank doesn't want your house. But anyway, when it goes into foreclosure, you have to send somebody out to assess the property to see, one, if it's worth going in to take the home, and then two, how much it's worth, and blah blah blah. Our bank was a pretty big bank, so we were all over the country, so it wasn't like I was going with them, but we sent an assessor down to Missouri, and it wasn't a residential, it was a commercial building. This guy, he couldn't open up the door. It was jammed up. He called us, and we were just like, just kick it open. Who cares? We got to see what's going on with this home. He kicked it open, and then immediately called the police because the thing that was blocking the door was actually a cadaver.
Oh my God!
And I felt so bad for that guy because it just scared the living hell out of him, as it should. And then this poor guy, he's like in the woods of Missouri, not knowing what the hell.
Well, so the man died there. No one knew it.
No, it was. So we
Oh.
found out it was some medical school kids thought it was funny, and they stole a cadaver, and then they ditched it.
One of those deals. Oh,
Yeah, and this poor
Jeez.
bastard found it.
Ay.
That's
Yeah.
one of the few exciting stories I have from
Ooh.
foreclosing houses.
What is a cadaver?
It's a
A
dead body.
corpse. A corpse.
Ah.
So you like donate your body to science or
A corpse. Yeah.
Well,
Well, getting to your question about renovating,
yeah.
it always seems like in those pay locations that money that comes in is supposed to go in for renovations, and a lot of it goes into just safety.
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
some of
yeah,
those
yeah.
places are so bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
No power, railings, the whole
insurance
9
is
yards.
through
I
the
mean,
roof.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You know,
The
you
floors
have to have
are
insurance
sketchy.
because somebody gets hurt in there. You know.
yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
very easy to get hurt.
Yeah.
Well, you say power too. I'm sure these places have dirty power too. That could
Now, a lot
hurt
of times
somebody.
I do this. Now, let's get back into the paranormal here for a second too. A lot of times I get people that will contact me about that too, and they'll say, "Bob, we're having like activity going on in our house and everything. Can you, check this out, or if you know someone that can do it for us or whatever?" And I start asking them a few questions. And one of the first questions I ask them is, we lived here 20 years. We've had nothing happen. First thing I ask them is, "Well, have you recently done some renovations or adding on or anything?" "Yeah, we did." Boom.
And
kinda
that's why
starts it.
I brought it
That
up.
kind of
because
starts it,
it's
yeah.
so common.
Yeah, it's a very common thing. All of a sudden, you're shaking things up, and that's what does it, yeah.
And a lot of times, when we're having a slow night and it's real quiet and you can't get any responses I'll threaten to do renovations.
Oh, so you're
And-
antagonizing the ghosts.
A nice way
Ah.
to provoke.
I-
Especially if the guy built the house.
Now, there are some teams
that
where
died there.
There are,
You know what I mean?
there
One of
are-
those where,
now, there
where
are
I
a
know
million of these,
I'll touch a nerve.
There's a million of these teams out there now doing investigations. There's so many of them in that. And one of the things that a lot of them say is, you don't provoke the ghosts.
Well, you got to be creative
Not good
with
to
the
do,
provoking.
yeah.
Like I
No,
said,
like again, it's a-
if you
you know-
died in the house, you built the house, you had all kinds of pride in this house, and I'm going to come in there and knock down walls. I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you I'm going to
Well,
do
you
that.
put carpet on oak floors. You got to rip it up.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
there's a huge
Well,
difference
it's nice
between
carpet.
going in and saying, I'm going to burn this place down because you're a piece
Right.
of crap. And, it might be nice to knock out this wall and put in an extra bathroom.
I'll
and
pretend
Make
I
this room a
bought
little
it.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Sometimes they're
pretended that I
sometimes
bought
they're
the
just
place.
happy there. They like it. They're just happy in that spot. They want to see what's going on. They approve of what you're doing, or they disapprove of it. That kind of thing like that. Different reasons why stuff would start to manifest and things would start to happen.
well, we had one guy on our team who liked to, when nothing was going on, I won't even name him because
Yeah.
anyway, when nothing was going on, he would take it on his own to be really nasty
Yeah. I
because
know.
he didn't
Yeah.
care. He was like, if
Not a
something
good
comes
way of
home,
doing it.
he's like, he thought he was tough enough to take on anything that came out. I mean, I'm like you. I'm kind of skeptical until it jumps in my face, but I still don't think I'd start yelling at demons and "F you, come and get me." No, he would do
I
it,
would.
and he always claimed that stuff would follow him, but that's kind of why he's not part of the team. Is he would claim things and it never really seemed to be
One
real.
of the questions I asked Gary many years ago was, why did you stop doing the paranormal? You know what his answer was? I didn't believe there was sufficient evidence to prove that it existed.
I can understand. I can understand that.
That's
I
what he
could
told me.
totally
Well,
understand that.
That's kind of things have changed since 10 years.
Yeah.
I was about to say, do you still stand by that?
I do to okay, let me put it this way.
I got him.
I find it okay. So, being in real estate and flipping, buying properties, having done property management, dealing with a lot of people. I used to be a mortgage broker. Dealing with a lot of people. People are generally lying to you a lot. I find it difficult to trust people and their accounts. So that has made me much more skeptical, even when it comes to ghost stuff. Because
So-
you find out the truth.
Are you talking about teammates? Are you talking? I don't understand about.
I think he's just saying all folks.
You want the real answer?
Just folks in general.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
So it's more of a you in that situation. So why did that apply to paranormal? I'm not following.
Because people who have they have their experiences, and as people, I'm sure you've known people, and you may have even done it yourself. The more you tell stories, and any cop you meet will tell you this. If you know a cop, ask them about interrogations. They ask you the same question over 10 hours because your story changes a little bit. You remember things.
I was in management for 30 years, so I went through the training where you say one thing to him in a closed room, then you introduce, you tell him, and you tell him,
it's the
and
same
tell
thing.
him. By
It's
the
the
time
same
it gets
thing
back
with
to
those
me, it's
tests.
Right.
It's the same thing with those tests you take. They make you take that test for employment. And the test has the questions on there. Have you ever smoked marijuana? And you'll say, no, I haven't. And then later on down the line, 10 or 15 questions later, it will say, did you ever try pot? And then you might say, well, yeah, I did. Well, wait a minute. Here you said you didn't.
I've never
There you
smoked
said you
marijuana.
did.
I've smoked
yeah,
pot,
see,
though.
Yeah, right. See, yeah.
I don't know what
then
marijuana
That's how they
is.
get you. Then they say, oh, this is an honest person.
I get what
Try
you're
to get you
saying,
on that.
though.
And
It's-
I guess I should
Yeah, I totally
probably-
understand.
I should amend the statement to not say that people are lying to you. I don't think they're lying.
They're embellishing.
With some stuff, they're lying, outright lying, because they want your attention. But there are a lot of people who are trying to be totally genuine, and as they've told the story 30, 40 times, they remember something that really didn't happen, but it makes the story better. So they're trying to drag you in. People love being storytellers.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah,
I'm a
I'm really not
storyteller.
that guy. I do have a YouTube channel, and I share my experiences, but
I wouldn't fake anything.
Oh,
I don't
It
think
would-
he's saying
yeah,
fake.
I
If,
don't
if
think
you
they're-
really knew me, you would totally understand that. I would never
I think what Gary is
even
saying is more of like.
consider it.
I think he's more saying like,
unintentional.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I heard something
Embellish.
really. I heard
Absolutely.
a spooky
No, I
creak.
totally understand that.
And it's like I saw the creak, the floorboard, and it turns out that guy was shaking the boards.
Where I thought you were
Right.
going with this, I thought you were talking about, team members or other people that you were
that's
working
a
with.
totally different situation.
Because
but it does
I've
apply.
totally experienced that,
Yes.
where we couldn't get on the same page kind of thing.
That's actually why we closed shop
There you
on
go.
Graves.
Right.
Was because of all the drama with the other people.
Yeah.
So we
Common
tightened
word,
it up.
drama on these teams.
It was down.
Oh.
In the end, we essentially got rid of everyone. It was me, my wife, and my best friend Dave, who has been my best friend since 1990, and we still are. And I mean, that's because every time we'd get somebody in, there was always some personal crap they were dragging in. One lady got divorced, so she wanted to find a new
She's looking for
boyfriend that had a
or
girl
husband.
that was
Yeah.
into
Oh, yeah.
ghosts.
People have
You
different
know?
reasons for joining the paranormal teams.
And then
They
one
really
guy
do.
was banging one of the chicks in
Yeah,
the group,
oh, yeah.
and
All
he
right.
had a girlfriend. It's
So understand my frustration with all that, because I take a more scientific approach to it. I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm a paranormal researcher. So I'm going to take steps to eliminate contamination, and I'm going to have proper tools and how to do things, and a number of people in a room, and so on and so on and so on.
more controlled. You're taking a scientific approach
Yes,
about it. You're looking
I'm
to put
trying
some.
to,
Very
I'm
good.
trying
You're getting some
to
credibility
control as
to it.
much as I can,
Yeah.
except for that natural environment, the motorcycles, the birds, the airplanes. I can't control that kind of thing.
Time to come, and this is another one of those things I say over and over and over and over. Time to come, I think the paranormal will be an actual recognized science. I think it will. I may not see it in my lifetime. I don't know if I will or not. I don't know if it'll be then. Of course, I don't know how much time I got left, but I just don't think I will see it because it's going to take time to do. But I think it will be an actual recognized science. But right now, no, because right now, so many people are doing so many different things, and some people are in it they're a little more serious about it. Some people are in it just for amusement. Some people are in it to find a boyfriend or a husband or whatever it may be.
Why are you pointing at me? I'm not looking for a boyfriend or a husband.
I know you're happily married. I know that.
2023, my friend.
But he brought it up. He said it. That's why. But people go into it for different reasons.
But
Yeah.
with all that said, you can kind of understand where I'm going with it.
Yes.
As far as what I've experienced with
Right.
people.
Okay. I guess I should amend one more time and say that when I'm thinking of this, I'm talking about like when somebody calls me and says, not anymore. I don't do this anymore. But people would call and say, I got something going on. When I listen to their stories, that's who I'm thinking of. Other researchers, when you're putting your stuff online and I'm hearing your stories, I'm looking at your pictures, I'm listening to your videos and stuff, that's a different story. But when you walk into a place and they say, we've got 1,000 ghosts in here, and they've done this and this and this, the more they got, the more I think, the more stories you've got to tell me about your house that you're living in,
I'm a little more skeptical.
the more skeptical I get every
I can
single
see that,
time.
yeah.
Because there's stuff, and I've lived in places where, I'll let you guys take these. I don't know if you want to copy them, but basically we lived in a condo, and it was an old man. And then when we moved into our house, and I've been a flipper since 2000, and we've gutted the condo, and everything started happening. We gutted our house. Everything started happening.
See?
It was always remodeled. And when I say gut, I
See?
mean down to studs. I took everything out. There was nothing left in that house original. And, so I had my stories, which kept me into it because I've seen the stuff. I know the stuff. I know what's going on. But then when somebody else tells me, come to my house and there's this little girl, well, I saw a little girl in my house. That's my story. But now you've seen a little girl, and you've seen a ghost dog, and you've seen a newspaper boy, and you've heard glass. You've got 48 stories, man. That's my level of skepticism dealing with general homeowners is where it's higher.
Bob, I'm a little bit in shock because he's thinking exactly the way I am.
yeah.
Because I'm afraid
agree.
to talk about, not afraid, but
No.
I'm reluctant to talk about my experiences
Because you think people are
because
going to
people
say
think
you're
I'm freaking nuts.
No.
And you'll hear me talk about that in that video on YouTube because
But then
it's
if
risky.
you feel that way, why even do it? Why not
Well-
collect stamps or do something else? Why if you feel that way?
I
I'm
got
doing
Which would
it-
you rather
I gotta
do, Bob?
know.
I'm doing it, but I'm afraid to
Collect stamps or hang out in an old asylum all night? I don't know. I think the asylum sounds more
I love the
fun.
dark, Bob.
I'll hang out in an asylum. I don't care.
I do real well in the dark. But I can totally relate to what you're saying. I've interviewed so many people, and I came up with a process for my team that I do a pre-interview on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Then I might do some research on the home or the person, and then I'll do another phone interview, and then I'll go and do a personal interview in face-to-face before I even think about investigating into a private home. So I totally can relate. Not to mention, you know how many team members that I've interviewed over the years?
Oh,
And some
plenty,
of them that are
I'm sure.
not with us all together.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
So God bless them.
People have
but-
different reasons for going into the paranormal.
Absolutely.
Now, since you do have a team, what if someone says, "Hey, I have this thing you want to check out," and they actually, I caught some stuff. Why don't you take a look at it? And actually, you take a look at it and be like, "Okay, I can kind of see that." Then what would you say on that?
Absolutely. You know, if somebody contacted me through, you know, when they contact me through email, through my, with my team, yeah, I'm definitely going to follow up on it, and you know,
But I'm
you're gonna get a
saying-
phone call and I'm going to give you 100 questions, and some of them might even be personal.
Well,
You know, are you on any medications?
I have
That's
a question. I have
That's
a
an
question
important
to
question.
ask.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
how much
got to
time-
ask the hard questions.
I don't know how much
because,
time everybody spends
you
looking
said.
on the internet or on Facebook and all that, but I don't spend a whole lot of time on
Countless
it. But I do look
hours.
on there. But
Yep.
the other day, a couple of days ago, some big flash came across on Facebook and all this that this is going to shake the whole paranormal world, whatever this was.
Clickbait.
Whatever this was. And I put, and I thought, what the heck would? And I put
You're
that-
a show me guy.
And I put
I
on
am.
there,
Absolutely,
and
I am.
I put on
That's
there.
me.
I thought, well, what is this? Is this like the paranormal Jerry Springer show or the paranormal Maury Povich? What is it that's going to be so? It's going to turn the whole business upside down. As far as I know, it was nothing ever came up that was so fantastic. But whatever, I thought, well, maybe someone's going to come up with some knockout dynamite evidence. It's going to be something that's really, this is going to be it, hands down. Now everybody's going to believe in this, and I don't know, whatever it was, but.
I feel like I
knows?
keep taking a poll with this at I think now, especially now we have probably over 50 years of investigative experience.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we have a ghost hunter, I talk to a ghost hunter, I ask the same question because everybody's got their own way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there should be like a hierarchy or an organization that's like not in charge, but is like the authority of how to do things? Because you want to be a science, you would be considered
Time to
a
come, there
hard
will be
science.
criteria. It will be a time to come. I think it will be a licensed industry. It'll be, there'll be criteria for it. There'll be things you do, you don't do. It'll be more regulated. Now, with
I'm
regulations,
with Bob, but I think it's going to be another 150
That's
years.
what I-
till we
that's
get
what-
back down
yeah,
to looking
it's
into
it's
other
going to be a
dimensions.
while.
you heard me say that. I won't see it in my lifetime. I don't know if I'm going to be around that long, but you heard me say that. Yeah.
You know, with COVID and everything, the team just completely stopped.
Sure.
So when things started coming back around and the masks were kind of getting lifted, I started to poke my head out there and started talking to other groups to see if I can come as a guest. And I did that on 4 investigations. And it was so cool to sit back as an observer and watch the people
And just see how they do things, and
and experience what I did experience there. Gates slamming on a cell and everything. Just really cool stuff. But it was cool to take that role. Sometimes it's just sit back and look at it.
Yeah.
But with that said, it's all around money now.
Yeah.
It seems like
Oh, yes.
you can go and just rent a place for the night and charge 20 people and make $400.
Sure.
And then have some guy like me with experience that doesn't know it until he shows up running the show.
So you don't think there should be like a better business bureau of ghosts investigating to be like, listen, that place, I don't like how you're doing it. We have talked it over. You're barred from saying
As
this.
far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
ghost hunting, paranormal investigations, paranormal research, it's an academic subject. It's not. We're supposed to be working with each other. We're supposed to
Absolutely.
be sharing our
This
ideas.
isn't what
But
you
I
find,
feel like
though.
they-
It's just the
Absolutely.
opposite.
But
Just the
yeah, that's
opposite.
That's why I
Most
put
places
stuff
hold
on
it.
YouTube. I don't
Yeah,
do
just
it
the
to become
opposite,
famous
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not why I do it.
Well, one of the guys that was in my group, and this is where I really learned how some of these people operate. I will not give names or groups or
Sure.
whatever. There was a group from north of here, could be from here all the way to North Pole.
The great
Group
state
from
of
north
Canada.
here came to visit at Manteno State Hospital. This was
gonna say a while
2004
ago.
or 5, something like that. And they came down, and one of the guys in our group knew them. He lived up where they were, invited them, because he loved Mantino. He was there constantly. He had thousands upon thousands of pictures. So he invites them down. We go with, and all we keep hearing about is, oh yeah, when we were down here last time, we heard the PA system go on, and it was asking for Dr. Stark to come, or whatever the name was, asking for Dr. Stark, and it's clear as a bell, and we have it on video, it's on tape, oh man, it's great. And I said, well, I'd love to hear it. Oh, we lost the tape.
There you go. Yeah.
What do you mean you lost the tape? That is not evidence you lose.
No.
I mean, it's an EVP. Yeah, everybody's going to nitpick it, but that's not something you lose. That's not
I've had
this
2 or
is
3 backups of it.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
exactly.
That's something you have on a
This
hard
is something
drive,
that's
a regular
important to
tape,
you,
a digital recorder, and a video
Backups.
Yeah. And
But too, when someone is telling me a story, and like we were just talking about, somebody telling you a story relating their paranormal experience to you, and they may have said the same story 3 or 4 times and all that, and you listen to them, and you kind of listen, you read between the lines, you listen between the lines. If they seem to be changing their story, there's not a lot of credibility to that. If they're giving a different rendition of it each time they're telling it, they either have a very bad memory or they're just not telling the truth, and they're changing their story. Because if it's the same story, you're going to be very consistent about it.
I really think that's a need that's a need for attention. And I'm not saying people are attention whores. I'm just saying that people like to drag other people in. That's why a lot of teachers like to teach. They want to be the center of attention. I was a teacher for a while too, and they want to pull you in. So a lot of teachers are good storytellers and stuff. And this is actually, I'm holding some papers in my hand. It's the stories from me, and I know that I embellish. So whenever something happens, I write it in a story form the first time as soon as it gets done. Because if I tell that story 30 times, I'm going to add a little bit of this because I want you to be like, oh man, that's an awesome story. So this is going to be the watered down version. It may not be super sensational, but this is the truth.
But I think that's what this needs, and I think that's what people don't want.
Guidelines
People
and criteria,
want the 1940s Universal Monster, the fog, and all that, where it needs to be a very sterile, boring, like lab document.
Well,
just
see,
saying,
part of the
like,
reason,
this is
part
why.
of the reason what you're saying with that is because that's what Hollywood has presented it as.
Exactly.
That's what pop culture shows us. Now the same thing too. People will ask me often. They'll say, "Well, which one of the shows do you watch? Do you watch Ghost Adventures? Do you watch so and so? Do you watch Zach? Do you watch?" And I don't even know who they are. I've never seen them, but I have a very good reason. Not because I don't like them. I just don't watch them because I don't have cable, so I have no way to really see it.
That's a pretty good reason.
But now, my feeling is, if someone watches this, and maybe inspires them to maybe go into the paranormal, something they never have done before. Maybe they want to go into it because they've seen something like this. Okay, that's a good purpose. But now if they're going into it because they think, I'm going to go there and I'm going to sit for an hour and I'm going to come on, I'm going to get everything that they got on that show, that's the wrong reason. It's not the way it is. And then what happens is a lot of people get disillusioned. They'll go out, they'll join a team, or they'll go out and they'll investigate, and they say, oh, there's nothing to this. I didn't pick up anything up. No, that's because you're watching this and you're thinking you're going to do the same day. Like you just mentioned earlier, Tom. You said, you go through this and you look 8 hours of video you're listening to and all that, and they're saying, oh, gee, I got to do all that. Yeah, that's how this works.
Anything we're doing is we're doing right.
Yeah.
But see, with the boring stuff, and Tom made an amazing point earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing this to convince you.
No.
He's not doing this for anybody else but for him. He wants to know. He's sharing, and I was sharing what we were learning in case you want to know too. Otherwise, I don't care. If you believe my story, great. That's awesome. You think I'm full of crap? That's great too. Because I don't care about
It stinks, but
anybody's opinion.
I'll be
because
honest with
I'm
you.
here for me.
Every time I've done a tour, like I'll be doing a Chinatown tour coming up in a couple of months, and that whenever I do a tour, whenever I do a talk in the library, I'll be talking at the end of this month about H.H. Holmes over at the Justice Library. Whenever I do a talk, whenever I do a presentation or tour or anything like that, and someone comes up to me and they say, oh, that's something I didn't know, or I never thought of it that way. That's what I like. Because maybe now that's sparking that person to maybe check this out on their own, to do something with it. So that's good, I like that about it. That's why
And
I
that's
like
the
doing
dry
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to like the dry stuff as my spectator. He's going to love the dry stuff because that's going to give him ideas on how to run his next investigation. Because we're pulling from everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I first started, my questionnaires, when I first started, we didn't ask questions. We'd go in and say, oh, let's take pictures. We didn't know nothing. We were idiots. But, you know, by the
Same
time
here.
we were done, you know, a couple years later, I had 6 pages with, I think it was 60-something questions on it, you know, about the medications and, you know, when did it start, who was here. I wanted to know everything that they knew, and my biggest thing that I learned later on was I want to know how much they've researched the house, because how many extra little tidbits have they thrown in, and how long have they been doing it, you know, so...
Yeah.
Again, it's for me, and I love Tom's point about doing it for yourself.
You know, I usually don't talk about private investigations, but I will say that I do have a YouTube video, Private Investigation Part 1 and 2. You need to watch them both. It's going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to talk about evidence? That's evidence.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that one.
Yeah. It, you know, it just amazes me that so many people are doing this now, where before, you know, 100 years ago when I was doing paranormal, I didn't think anybody else was doing paranormal. You know, there were groups out there, but of course we didn't have the internet or no way to connect with people. You know, you didn't know, you know, and I thought no one else was doing this, you know. And it's amazing now that how many people are doing it, but yet there is so little good evidence. So is there just too much of it? The market is too flooded? Are people just not doing it the right way? Are they doing the wrong motives in it? Whatever, you know, whatever it may be, I don't know.
When we talk about
Yeah.
sharing,
Yeah.
you know, we also talk about teaching. You know, I have videos of how to use an SB7 spirit box and how I do it. I use a portable speaker versus that little orbital speaker. I can, you know, blare sound throughout the place.
Yeah.
You know, CCTV cameras used on investigations, voice recorders, how to use them, how to use, you know, review the audio, devices that we use. Those are training things that we, you know, that I share, stuff that I share with people that work for me, you know,
Ghosts have
during
been with us
investigations.
since time itself began. Ghosts have been with us, you know. And through the years, there have been people that have investigated ghosts, and you know, back in the day, they didn't have any equipment, yet they still did it.
Oh, yeah.
People still believed, they still investigated what they had.
You got to
what
find
limited-
what works for you, Bob.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
You know, what works for me may
yeah.
not work for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Some people just have a natural thing, and they feel it, and they pick it up, and that's it. And you know, some people are really good at
Yeah.
it, and other people need all the stuff to do it with. You know, everybody's different. Well, we went a little overtime here. Good grief. What are you throwing money on the table? Is that for me? What are you doing there?
She needs some.
Is there a poker game after this, Bob?
Huh?
Is there a poker game after
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I don't know. Maddie, thank you so much for popping on. How nice to see you again. Sal, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything to say in closing?
Go check out Exit Saloon.
Yes, exactly. I am going there. Right after we leave here, I'm going there because I go right by it on my way home. I have no reason not to stop there.
63rd and
Dear
Harlem.
God in heavens! How
Oh, I'll
nice
be
to see
back.
you again. Yeah, yeah. You know, you come up from Florida and you bring the bad weather with you. Until you got here, it wasn't snowing. You know, today, you know,
Bad
it's,
weather. It's
Yeah.
80 degrees by my house.
oh, you know, tell me about it. That's how I was 2 weeks ago in New Orleans. 83 degrees, 84 degrees. I came home, emptied a suitcase, washed the clothes. I said, I'm putting all the shorts and t-shirts away. I'm going to be wearing that stuff for 3 more months out here. You know, yeah.
Hell, my
Speaking of
wife-
haunted cities,
My wife's
New Orleans-
probably in the pool right now. Here, let's
See?
take a look. Let's
Yeah.
see. Maybe, maybe not.
Oh, there's a ghost right there. What is
spider
that?
web.
I see something. What's that floating around right there? I think I see
Spider
some
web.
orbs. Oh, that's a spider.
Built the spider web over
Jake,
the
what
camera.
have you got to say for yourself
Oh, yeah,
in closing?
I got all
Hey.
kinds of cool
We're getting a
stuff
lot
on
of stuff
CCTV.
prepared. We're getting a lot of stuff prepared for Kildare Haunted City for the opening season in October. I know we're like 8 months away, but lots of new things to come, and we're trying to get some good bands to come play for us. Lots of new vendors, and we're just gonna have a kick-ass season this year.
Yeah, cool. Okay,
It's
good for
gonna
you.
go big. It's gonna go better than last year.
Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's
Jake,
pretty
Sal,
good.
And Dean,
guys
they
got
all
a-
work together with.
We're going big or
Company
going
Dean.
home.
Dean,
Go
anything
big
for
or
you
go
to say
home.
in
That's the way to
closing?
go.
Come in October, just even if you're not in the big haunted house, just come to see your friends get scared.
It's just fun. It's a good show. It's something. You know, it's entertainment. You know, yeah, yeah. Tom.
Come visit the Winnebago.
No, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me share my info. And
Likewise, I'm glad I
appreciate
got-
you
yeah,
guys'
glad I got-
feedback and everything. It was a great
What's
time.
your YouTube name so we can look you up?
Yeah.
Suburban Ghost Society on YouTube.
All right, cool. I know what I'm
I
doing
wrote down
tonight.
YouTube.
Yeah, check them all out. But Private Investigation into Apparition at Randolph is the one you should check out.
I already subscribed
And
to
you
you.
can laugh
so-
at my reaction.
Leland Pierson.
Everyone
we forgot to
subscribe.
mention Leland's show. Leland does a show, Questioning the Weird, which incidentally, I want to do a show with you. I got an idea for a show.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know if you want to do it, but I want to do it with you.
you mentioned it. Sorry, I've been incredibly
Yeah,
busy.
I
with
sent you a I
life.
send people messages. They never respond to me. I'm nobody. nobody
I figured we just
nobody
talked about
pays-
it in person
Nobody
too.
pays attention to me. You know, it happens to me all the time. I send a message and like a month later, I get a response from it.
I gotta respond right away.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, me too.
Good news, I guess, about anybody who actually watches the Questioning the Weird. The newest episodes are coming out starting next Thursday. Starting off with the Bartonville Insane Asylum interview,
Insane
Oh,
Asylum.
that sounds fun.
talking about the history.
Is
and-
Mantino still open or has it been closed?
The
It's a
condos
VA
now.
hospital.
It's what?
It's like something for the veterans, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I thought it was converted or something.
Yeah, they tore
They
down
were-
a bunch of it in the
Yeah, they were
condos.
knocking them
and
down when we stopped going.
Yeah.
I think there's only like one building left.
It's like a veterans living center, is what I heard.
Many, many, many years ago, I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I remember we had my one grandmother was in Mantino because it was probably Alzheimer's, but you know,
Right.
60 years ago, you're insane. You know, that was all. You know, that was it. You know,
Alzheimer's is probably just
Yeah.
hysterical.
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. That was it. You know, it was probably Alzheimer's. They just say, oh, they're just dementia. It's old age, and that's what they did. You know, so you know, yeah, any to hoot. Yeah, cool. Thank you all for coming. How nice to have you all on here. Thank you. Wonderful joy. Yeah, nice to have you all on here. Wonderful. Love to hear everybody's different opinions, what people have to say. You learn a lot just by listening. Part of the learning process is being a good listener. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Yeah, part it is. It's part of the learning process. Being a good listener, being a good observer, watching things, listening. Yeah, it's amazing how many people I expose just by watching them, what they do, and listening to what they say. You catch yourself. You trap yourself. Always be honest. Always be true at what you're saying. That there's somebody out there listening to everything you say, and all this Facebook stuff and YouTube stuff and all this and everything. When you start putting these things out there, kind of know what you're putting out there and be kind of genuine about what you're saying. Don't just go saying all kind of jimbo jambo, because people do check this stuff out, you know.
I'm
Also,
not a
don't
conspiracy guy,
put
but
down that you're going to
phone's listening.
Starbucks to have coffee and that you're on vacation in New Jersey or whatever, because then people know your house is empty. I don't know why I don't know why people put those things down. You know, when they
Thanks
say.
for telling people I'm in Illinois.
But you've got
Thanks,
people
Bob.
that are home. But you're not all out here. You got people that are home at the house. You got people out there. Yeah.
And a
Now,
very
where are
large
you at in
collection of
Florida, by
guns
the
with
way?
my wife.
Where are you at in Florida? Where are you? Where?
What's the
Excuse me,
address?
you want my exact address?
No, where are you at? Because I want to know where you're
I'm
at.
a big fan of Clearwater.
When I come and see you, I want to know where I'm going.
I am 45 minutes directly about half an hour directly east of Clearwater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know
So
what?
you're not susceptible to the hurricanes then?
Not
Nope.
really.
Okay.
One thing I realized between Google Maps and Apple Maps, that Google Maps tells you where you're going, Apple Maps leads you into the river.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of times those things, because I'm not good at directions. I'm horrible at directions. I could tell you everywhere else that I travel to, I could tell you everything. But my own town here, I couldn't tell you anything. But yeah, a lot of times they do steer you way the wrong way. Yeah. Thank you all. John, give us our sign-off music. It's a joy doing these shows. Thank you all for popping on. Great, fantastic. Leland, thank you for co-hosting,
Always.
taking time out of your schedule to come and do this. And that's the end of that. Next month is April, something with Titanic. Always for April, I always do Titanic, and I always do something Abraham Lincoln, since both of those happened in April. So something with that we'll do. Yeah. See if we get some Titanic survivors on. Wouldn't that be great since they're all gone? See how I pull that off.
You're all dead.
Yeah. See how we pull that one
We can do an
off.
investigation on that one.
Yeah.
All right, don't do drugs.
You have been listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trzeciak from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Monday, March the 13th, the year 2023. Paranormal Radio was directed by John DeVita. The executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network is Mr. John Seconda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Monday, March the 13th, the year 2023. Until next time, friends, be safe and thanks for listening.